It started like a thunderclap across the nation, a headline so explosive, it shook the very foundation of the progressive political machine. AOC faces a $90 million ethics penalty linked to a private campaign funding network. The timing couldn't have been more devastating. And as the news cycle erupted, Karoline Leavitt didn't panic. She smiled, because for months, maybe years, she'd been waiting for this. Waiting for the moment when America would finally take a hard look at the carefully curated image of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and ask what's real and what's just branding. That night on CNN's America Tonight, the two women sat across from each other under the 040, blistering glare of studio lights. Anderson Cooper tried to control the energy in the room, but from the second he opened his mouth, it was obvious this wasn't going to be a calm debate. This was going to be a political reckoning. We have with us Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. He began to discuss the allegations surrounding Karoline, and she interrupted him coldly, her voice crisp and commanding. "Let's not sugarcoat it, Anderson. The so-called voice of the people just got slapped with a $90 million reality check." AOC raised her chin defiantly, her trademark red blazer practically shimmered with tension. "These accusations are a political hit job," she snapped. "This is a coordinated attempt to silence those of us who challenge the status quo and fight for working people." Karoline didn't miss a beat. Progressive voices don't usually get caught routing donations through shell corporations. That's not fighting for the people, that's cashing in on them. The audience stirred, murmuring sharp inhales. Cooper leaned forward, eyes flicking between them like a referee about to lose control of a heavyweight title match. "You walk around claiming to be a champion of the working class," Karoline continued, "yet you live in luxury apartments, show up on red carpets, and now there's this $90 million in untraceable funds. That's not grassroots, that's grift." AOC laughed, bitterly. "You want to talk to me about integrity? You work for an administration that's rolled back civil rights, turned a blind eye to poverty, and whose idea of public service is handing tax breaks to billionaires." Karoline narrowed her eyes. "At least we don't pretend to be revolutionaries." While sipping $500 cocktails at fundraising galas, gasps rippled across the audience. One voice shouted, "She's not wrong, Anderson." Cooper raised his hand to quiet the room, but the fire had already caught, and AOC gripped the edge of the table. "I came from nothing, I bartended to pay rent, I didn't have a silver spoon or a trust fund, and somewhere along the way," Karoline replied, "you became exactly what you said you'd fight. You used your story like armor until the receipts caught up." Then she pulled out a thick ethics report, 48 pages long, and she dropped it on the table with a sound that echoed louder than any words could, thud. "This," she said, tapping, "isn't a smear campaign, it's not a talking point, it's an official, bipartisan investigation, and you don't get to hashtag your way out of it." The audience murmured again, louder now, one clapped, another booed, but no one could deny the shift. The room and the country were listening. AOC's tone sharpened. "You want to call me performative? You're a press secretary, Karoline, a glorified spokesperson reading lines written by other people," smiled, cool as ever, "and yet somehow, I'm the one holding the truth. I didn't run on promises I couldn't keep, and I didn't turn struggle into a brand and rake in millions while my constituents faced eviction and inflation." For a long moment, AOC didn't respond, her jaw clenched, her gaze faltered. Anderson Cooper finally cut in. "We need to take a short break," he said, "but when we return, we'll discuss what this ethics scandal means for the future of American politics." But as the lights dimmed, either woman moved, the tension in the studio was electric. Their eyes still locked, the war of words had only just begun, by the time the second segment aired. #AOC 90 million was the top trending topic on clips of Karoline, slamming down the ethics report were flooding social feeds, captions read, "She brought the receipts literally," conservative influencers hailed Karoline as fearless. Liberal voices scrambled, Representative Jamal Bowman posted, "This is political theater, AOC's fighting for the people while they tear her down," but it was already too late, the public wasn't reacting to spin, they were reacting to the moment. The power shift, the truth, that then came the kicker. Anderson asked the bluntest question of the night, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, do you believe voters still trust you? AOC took a deep breath. I believe Americans are smart enough to see through political attacks. They care about healthcare, education, and climate, not manufactured scandals. Karoline leaned forward. It's not manufactured if it's backed by financial audits and bipartisan findings. You don't erase $90 million with a hashtag. The room was quiet, then AOC, in a rare display of agitation, leaned forward herself. I've passed more legislation than most freshman representatives ever dream of. What have you done? Read headlines out loud on cable news. Karoline didn't blink. No, I told the truth. I didn't weaponize a humble beginning to climb the social ladder while pretending to be a servant of the people. Gasps again, murmurs, one person called out, she's got guts. Anderson, clearly struggling to contain the moment, asked, Karoline, are you accusing Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez of fraud? Karoline's voice didn't shake. If it walks like one, talks like one, and hides $90 million like one, what would you call it? That single line went viral within minutes, social media exploded, TikTokers clipped it into 10-second sound bites. Twitter flooded with memes. One showed AOC mid-sentence, pointing in anger, while Karoline sat calm with a stack of papers. Caption, when the facts sit quietly while the spin shouts. The very next day, CNN announced a full debate live, unscripted. AOC and Karoline, face to face. The moment it was announced, Karoline posted a single line on X. See you there, no hashtags, just answers. The night of the debate, the air was heavy with tension. Anderson Cooper stood center stage, flanked by the two most talked about women in Washington. Tonight, he said, there are no scripts, no questions. Just the truth. Karoline sat in her navy suit, hands folded. AOC wore white, the color of resistance and symbolism, but not, tonight, of invincibility. Do you deny the findings in the ethics report? Cooper asked AOC directly. I reject how it's being manipulated. She answered, I'm not a fraud, I'm a target. Karoline leaned in. The people you represent aren't targets, they're taxpayers, and they deserve answers, not speeches, and it kept going like that, point for point, statement for fact. Karoline stayed calm, composed, surgical. When AOC interrupted, Karoline waited. When Anderson raised concerns, Karoline responded with detail. When AOC tried to pivot, Karoline brought her back. You wouldn't survive a day in my district, AOC snapped at one point. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not, Karoline answered. That's the difference. By the end, Karoline didn't gloat. She stood, nodded, and left the stage in silence. But America was already speaking. CNN's poll, 68% said Karoline won the debate. 24% AOC, the rest were undecided. Fox News led, with Leavitt dismantles AOC's narrative. Politico said, AOC's brand hit hard. Even MSNBC questioned if the progressive icon could survive the storm. AOC's team released a brief statement. Tonight was a distraction from the real issues. Representative Ocasio-Cortez remains committed to fighting for working families, but the damage was done. And Karoline, she launched Clarissa Digital first political platform, her first episode. Where did the $90 million go? It got over 1 million views in less than 24 hours. She appeared on 60 Minutes, where the interviewer asked, did you mean to destroy AOC's career? Karoline shook her head. I meant to tell the truth. What happens next, that's up to America. And that's how she flipped the script. In a media age obsessed with noise and narratives, she didn't shout, she didn't play victim, she just showed up with facts. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need a slogan, it just needs someone brave enough to say it.